very warm welcome here at 5 things I learned from traveling and being a professional nomad and gypsy about our adaptive intelligence. My name is Hannelie Venucia and I'm from the Possibility Gap and the Joy Generation. So thank you for joining us here in this way today. Where would you like to travel to? You can choose your destination. Isn't it wonderful to travel after our wings have been clipped? So many travel bans and yet still a lot of delayed and cancelled flights and high diesel and fuel prices. And now we can travel virtually online too. But isn't it wonderful? So where would you like to travel to? Yet before you embark on your journey, we have a surprise. We've been invited by royalty to join them at a feast. And the king and queen are very heartily in their cup. They're very generous, kind, and benevolent. And their people are just magic. The whole kingdom is just magic. And a learned man walks past. And the king immediately tells his people to invite this man in to come and join us. The more the merrier, isn't it? And he said, please make him sure that he's comfortable and take good care of him and serve him just with the best wine and food. Yet this man was not receptive at all. And receptivity is key to not only our adaptive intelligence, but when we travel and also when we have the professional nomad lifestyle. And this man starts with his loud refusals. And he shouts out, I'd rather drink poison. I've never drank wine and I never will. And so he disrupts the banquet's atmosphere with his loud refusals. And so it's in life too. We sometimes have learned about something or read about it, maybe some people, a culture, a place, but we've never been there. We haven't tasted the experience. We haven't experienced it ourselves. And then we have these loud refusals. Now, when we travel, we need to travel lightly. Otherwise, it will not be a good experience. And so it is with us, whether we travel physically or virtually online. And this man is a clear example of that. He had all these biases, yes? These preconceived ideas and opinions about wine in this scenario. And his frame of reference did not include that experience yet, so it was limited. And he brought that with him. And he also dragged with him his miserability. Yeah, all his emotional, mental, and psychological baggage. Heavy. So he was judgmental, skeptic, and critical. And simply rejecting the whole experience. And that's how it's in life too. And our adaptive intelligence has a lot to do with that. Our ability to travel lightly, virtually and physically. And the type of experiences and encounters we will be able to engage in. Now, the one thing I learned from my travels and being a professional nomad was that what I identified with and as impacted my experience. And if I was open-hearted and open-minded and curious and ready to learn. Clearly, this man, although he was a learned man, was not willing to learn from the others or from the experience. That is key to our adaptive intelligence. Being open-minded and open-hearted, because from an identity point of view, we don't have to give up who we are. It doesn't need to cause cognitive dissonance because we are not forced to comply to a specific way of doing things. Because we can still just be a visitor and still enjoy the experience and being observant to that specific conditions and culture and place. But the more open-minded and open-hearted is that I learned is the more we are able to expand our consciousness and our perception into multiple directions. And we then have the ability to what we call to do holographic thinking. So we can hold all those instances all at the same time in our mind without needing to choose between them because we know what has value to us. And traveling helps us to clarify what's most important to us and what has most value to us. And we don't take anything for granted or personal for that matter. And we begin to really appreciate and enjoy the small pleasures in life. But we become so much richer in our lives when we tap into all that diversity And we also look at stereotyping in a completely different way, labeling and the likes. Because we are able, because we are open-minded and open-hearted, to connect with people through the heart, then all these other things that we classify ourselves as and is disappear, human to human. And then a whole new world opens up because there's mutual learning from both sides. And my discovery also is the way we show up in a place, because we know we can't control it, but how we show up determines how we will be received. So if we are already going in with a closed mind, with judgment, skepticism, and criticism, there's no need to even travel. Then stay where you are. Stay the same. Because that will not help us at all. Because at the other end, we will be received in that way. People will be combative and defensive. And maybe aloof. Because they won't trust us. They won't open up. So it's all about us, what we are able to catalyze. And for this whole time, it helps us for our sense of self, which is key to our adaptive intelligence, our easiness, more than our awareness. So we become a global citizen where there's no borders beyond all the stereotyping and roles and functions and the likes and labels. But we are able to strengthen our own sense of self, which is about our own inner state of being, not about what's really happening around us, but it's how we respond to that. And that's how we strengthen our adaptive intelligence. So we can stay in flow with our own rhythm, regardless of what's happening around us. That when we have been off center, caught off guard, we can use some practices to ground and center ourselves, to come back to ourselves and to what has value to us, so we can navigate what's going on around us. That's on a personal level. And yes, there are a lot of the usual ones. And everything that's unfamiliar or unknown becomes the rest of that concept. Familiar, known, because we are experiencing it. We can experiment with it. And if it doesn't resonate, we don't have to take it on at all. It's not forced upon us. We don't have to comply with it, because we still have the power of choice. But this ability to strengthen our sense of self, our self-awareness, our easiness is so important. So that when people ask us where you are from, we begin to speak about our awareness. Where am I now? I'm here fully, totally, fully present to this experience. And I don't identify as another culture that will cause then dissonance, perhaps, or misunderstanding. And the usual suspects are there, yes, of being resilient, agile, flexible, resourceful, tenacious, all part of our adaptive intelligence, and to make adjustments on the fly. And we can clearly see in our world how easy it is to become out of fashion, to come out of favor. We see that a lot these days too. So it's important for us to be able to adjust, especially from an organizational and group point of view and a business point of view, even on a personal level, to reorientate ourselves when there's lots of disruptions and rapid change, to regroup, reposition ourselves, repurpose perhaps. And key to it all is to stay relevant and current. Our adaptive intelligence is key to that. We maybe perceive adaptive intelligence as just to take on somebody else's ways, or to say yes to a specific condition that we don't truly resonate with. But it's not true. It's about that, be able, that re means again. And our adaptive intelligence is key in that. And when we travel, that is something we really learn very fast. You land at a place, you've got jet lag, and immediately you have to orientate yourself, stay in your own skin, and still be receptive to what you're about to experience. Our adaptive intelligence is going to become more and more important in our 21st century life experiences here in the modern world. Just look around yourself. Would you have imagined the Great Resignation 10 years ago, where people went into voluntary unemployment because they were not willing to work under the same conditions anymore? our adaptive intelligence. Leaders clearly were not in tune with their people's needs and what they really wanted for themselves. So it fell out of sync, so to speak. Organizations not rapidly mobilizing themselves to adapt to the changes happening in our world, causing lots of dissonance on that level. Likewise, with social injustices coming to the surface so very fast, how DEA in our organizations and institutions and communities are handled. Diversity, equality, and inclusion. Again, our adaptive intelligence, vital for deeper understanding, to look deeper at situations, to improve our conceptualization and contextualization abilities. Context management, key in our world today, all part of our adaptive intelligence. Now, the good news is that under the cherry blossoms tree, there is no stranger. We all have the same blue sky, something to remember when we tap into our adaptive intelligence, to be more inclusive. And you may ask, but how do we exercise this ability? How do we activate it? How do we stimulate it? And one of the best ways we discovered is through sense making. A sense making salon that can be hosted for you virtually online, and we will gladly do that together with you. Then we get the opportunity to exercise our sense-making muscles in our teams, in our groups, in our organizations. And it also gives us the possibility to explore other possibilities for that which is no longer working, no longer strong, to adjust quickly, that we can explore this possibility through our sense-making experiences. Likewise, if you want to explore it on a personal level, to explore and to really experiment with your sense-making muscles, we have a sense-making toolkit available on our website at the Possibility Gap. And you can download this interactive experiences to really go to town with sense-making in different types of environments. It will help you to also expand your context management abilities, yes, and your conceptual way of thinking, as well as critical and creative thinking, which is almost like cousins to adaptive intelligence, because we need it all together, that we can make whole system considerations and decisions. And likewise, you may ask, how do I stay relevant, current? I've got this massive organization. To change direction or to adapt is a process. It takes time. Yet, it doesn't need to. If we have the right things in place, and if we are able to tap into our core stability of our organization. And that is why we believe so many organizations could not retain their staff, especially those with rare skills in the past few years, because they were not able to really leverage their core stability. So if you're curious about that, of how to align, stay current, relevant, and mobilize very quickly in this rapid changing world, and with all these disruptions, we are your possibility and alignment partner. You are welcome to reach out to me at Hannelie@thepossibilitygap.com. If you're curious about that, for a discovery journey, what is possible for you and your organization, or you and your community, you and your team, you and your group, you and your network, and you and your ecosystem. So thank you for being with us. Have a wonderful week. Next week, we will be exploring 5 things I learned from designing and facilitating workshops about creative thinking. And we're looking forward to see you there too as well. Have a wonderful week and stay tuned. Goodbye.